Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today's lesson is going to show you how to complete the orthographic dimensioning for the JIG SPACER drawing, which is the third out of 4 in our orthographic drawing problem note or handout posted in the hub. This lesson is going to review concepts already learned from the control bearing and the counterweight. So there should be nothing new in this lesson that hasn't already been discussed in the previous 2 dimensioning drawings. So this drawing is complete. I'm going to be taking a look at the hub. This is the image that I'm going to be referencing with my iPad. And just by giving it a first glance, I can tell I have an overall thickness. I don't have an overall length. And I don't have an overall width. Although I do have the 21 and the 34 here, but I know that I'm going to have to drop one of these dimensions because this is going to be a result of over-dimensioning, as I've discussed before. So I'm going to be doing the best job I can, placing the dimensions in the best possible position, and I'm ready to get started. So I have this open on my iPad. I'm going to get started. I'm going to begin with these dimensions here, the 28.5, the 46, and the 28.5. Now, this is a chain of dimensions. I have discussed before that I must remove one of these dimensions from my chain so I can have my overall length listed on the drawing. And they have these dimensions projecting along the top view. I don't agree with that. I think they would be better understood on the front view. That does mean we're going to have to place them between 2 views, but I've discussed in the past that yes, we can place dimensions between views as long as we have a good reason. And I believe our reason is good. So ortho is on. That's always important when you're running linear dimensions. I'm going to grab a linear dimension from the annotation bar and begin. Endpoint to endpoint. Snap that dimension and use a grip, and we're going to move it out 12 millimeters. Right click, left click, repeat dim linear, endpoint to endpoint, and we're going to snap that 46 right in line. I'm not going to be placing the 28.5 here as I need to leave one out of a chain. So moving on. I also have the 22 dimension, which shows the depth of this slot. I'm going to be placing the dimension on the outside of the views. Like that. If I was to place it between 2 views, I could do this. But there's no advantage to it because the dimension looks exactly the same whether it's positioned on the right side or the left side. I might as well keep it out of being placed between 2 views to eliminate crowding. And anybody who is going to be doing anything like this, this is completely unallowed. Right? Because we're dimensioning to a hidden detail line here. So we have 3 dimensions. Obviously, we can only have one of them. This one is definitely incorrect. Delete. This one is not, technically it's not incorrect, but there's no advantage to having it between 2 views, so we're going to erase it. And we're going to maintain this one. This is the best possible 22 dimension I can place on my drawing. So that takes care of that. What else do we have to take a look at here? Well, we have the 16 dimension, which is listed on the drawing here. So I can actually duplicate that dimension if I want here. So let's try that. We may move it later. There's my 16 dimension. And what else do I have to worry about? I have my 34 dimension. I agree with its positioning as well. We can keep this on the top view just like this image shows us. Its spacing is a little far. We're going to bring it a little closer, as we always have done. Our second dimension is always 10 millimeters from the first. So we're going to repeat dim linear, go from here to here, snap that 34 in line with the 16, and now we're going to come out 10 millimeters, like that. This drawing isn't terribly hard to dimension. To me, it seems pretty straightforward based on everything we've learned so far. We also have to show the overall height, which is 52.5. That dimension is given. They're showing it to us right here. Again, I could put the dimension here, here, or here. I think I'm going to place it on the right side of the right side view. And there were options for this dimension. Again, an overall dimension can really go on any of the views as long as it looks nice. I could have fit it probably here, but again, I don't have many dimensions on my right side view. I don't have any except for this one now, and I want to try to spread the dimensions around. Right, I want them to kind of look balanced in the drawing as well. I've got 2 here, 3 here, 1 here. So I'm going to see what else I can fit on here that looks good and satisfies the basic dimensioning rules for orthographic drawings. I also have the 21 dimension. They show this dimension here along the top view projection plane. I'm going to place it on the right side view because that's going to give me a profile, right? Again, this is flat 2D perspective, right? I can't really avoid it with the 16 dimension. The 16, there's no real, that's probably the best place to put that dimension. As you can see, that's butted up against lots of 2D planes here that, you know, don't give us a good perspective of profile. This is butted up right against the chamfer, so that's probably the best position for that 16. But moving on, we're going to snap endpoint to endpoint. I'm going to snap that right to the arrowhead of the 46, and that's going to give me my 12 millimeters right off the bat. I also have to show the thickness of the base. I can only show that on my front view or my right side view. This is going to be one of those times where, again, I place a dimension between views because there's an advantage. This is the best possible position for that 18 dimension. Let's bring it out 12 millimeters. Why is that? Because it is dimensioned to a profile. Right? And in case you don't know what that means, if you were to stand in your bathroom right in front of your mirror, you know, stare right into the mirror, and you look at your face, that's not a profile view of your face, right? You're seeing all the features of your face basically in one flat plane. But if you were to turn your body 90 degrees and look at the wall, the reflection in the mirror of your face would now be your profile, right? Where you actually see, you know, the shape of your nose, the curve of your nose, the curve of your chin, how your chin comes down and meets your neck. That's all considered profile. And it's the same in a drawing where we want to see an actual shape of something. So here we go. That looks good to me. And we're almost done with this drawing. We have to show the angle, which is 45 degrees. Now, we can show that right here. So we need to grab the angular dimension. So pick the drop-down arrow, select angular, select, you can select here and here. And that will give you that 45 degrees. Now again, we got to be careful that we're not actually going to be crowding the dimensions too much here. right? As you can see, I've already got the 28.5 here. So we want to make sure we've got adequate spacing. So it's okay. It's over 12 millimeters away, so that is acceptable. Again, we try to avoid crowding these things if we can. I may make an adjustment to this just to improve the appearance of this. So watch for that in a few moments. And a review. Angular dimensions, we don't actually grip these out a certain distance. We basically just try to drop it on the drawing and have it look nice. Linear dimensions are the only dimensions we can accurately space a certain distance from the edge of the part view. What else do we have? We've got the overall thickness. We need to have the overall width and the overall length. So the overall length can be placed along the top of the top view. So we're going to go back up here, select the linear, endpoint to endpoint, and we're going to grip this out 12. And this looks pretty good where it is, if you ask me. It fits well. It looks good along the top view, so I'm happy with that. So I have my overall length, my overall thickness. I just need my overall width. And so where are we going to place that? Well, we can place that dimension here, the 55, and it has to come out 10 millimeters. It's not set in stone. I can run the dimensions somewhere else. And I may do that. One thing that I don't like about this is the 45 degrees being so close to 28.5. So this is what I'm going to do to alleviate that. I'm going to erase this dimension, and I'm going to erase these two. I'm going to place those dimensions on the left side of the top view because, again, it's not breaking any rules. I could have them here or here. They don't crowd any views, and if they fit on the left side of the top view, then we're laughing. So let's run those dimensions again. So from here to here, we have a 16. We're going to grip it out 12. And then we have from here to here, the 34 dimension, it's got to come out 10. And that fits very nicely. So now what I can do, now I'm not going to be able to fit my 55 over here. It's going to be too crowded, right? And just to prove that to you, see that? That's not going to work. It has to fit inside the border. So this dimension, I can't run it there. I could leave it here. I'm going to have to move it in closer because it's way too far away. Or I can place it on the right side view. So I will make a decision about that in a moment. One of the last things I need to do is also dimension the chamfer, which I had over here, and I'm going to have more room for it now. So I'm going to go angular dimension, select this line and this line, and come down 45 degrees. And we want it off the part. They show it on the drawing, like on the part like this. You want to bring it off. Something like that. And now that's no longer crowding anything here. So we've kind of given ourselves some breathing room. This 55 dimension, it's got to be brought in, and we can bring it out 12. And I can also run that 55 dimension on the right side view. Let's see what I like better. So let's run the 55 to here. Let's bring it up 10. Okay, so I've got two dimensions here that are over dimensioned. I can't have more than one of the same dimension on any of the other views. The 55 is duplicated. So either one is correct. It comes down to personal preference. I think I'm going to leave the 55 along my right side view and drop it from the top view only because this extension line crosses over this extension line for the angular dimension, and I can avoid that if I drop this dimension. So if I can take this dimension and erase it, and that does clean that up a bit. So basically I have all the dimensions I need to be able to manufacture this part. I have my overall thickness, I've got my overall width, I know how large the top of this flange is, and I do not require a dimension here because that's over dimensioning, right? Because I already have my overall, and I have to leave one out of a chain. So I'm leaving this dimension out. I've got the thickness of the base listed here, which is 18. I know that the width of the slot, I know the depth of the slot, I know the width of this left-hand flange, and I don't need to worry about what it is here because I have my overall length listed. And if you ask me, technically we don't even really need this 34 dimension, but I'm going to leave it there. And it is important to know what this 16 is. This should be 18 from here to here, right? Because that's the width and length of the chamfer. Of course, again, this over dimensions. It's up to you. You have to leave one of these dimensions, and I may decide just to drop the 16 because I think it's easier to understand where the chamfer begins from the front of the top view. So again, we have our overall here, which is good, but we can drop this 16, I think. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to drop the 16, just have the 18 and the 34, and I think that looks better. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. And again, I'm not referring to the basic orthographic dimensioning rule list exactly. I'm not showing that, but I am discussing all the points. If you reviewed this drawing now and compared it to that note that I showed you a couple of lessons ago, you would find that all of the rules are being adhered to. All I need to do now is select them. I can select multiple at once. If I draw a little box from top right to bottom left, I can do a multiple selection. Place these dimensions on the dimension layer. Don't delete them. And then lastly is the title block. All capitals, JIG SPACER. Let's stretch this out like we've learned to do. Click out. This isn't centered. Make sure ortho's on. We'll select it with a grip. Pick move from modify. And we'll just move this to be into the center as best we can. About there. Drawn by. I drew this one, so I'll put my name here. Date, 3rd month, 29th day, 21st year. Scale, 1 to a ratio of 1. And that's very well centered. I don't need to adjust any of these. And then I have drawing number, 101 dash, this is the 6th drawing, correct? Yes. And that fits very well. And that is the JIG SPACER. I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to save it hit the disk button up here, and then I'm ready to submit this to the assignment folder Dropbox. So I hope you found this lesson helpful. I'm really hoping that when you listen to the dialogue that you're really starting to understand the rules of dimensioning and orthographic drawing and how we do have to do some critical thinking and make sure we're not, crowding things, putting dimensions in the best position where they can be understood, etc. So that's it for this video. I wish you luck with this. Let me know if you need any help or if you have any questions, and take care for now.